Hi, this is Robert at Retro Car Guy 530, and in this video I'm going to discuss the customer satisfaction campaign 15803, which relates to the rear axle wiring harness on the 2014 and 15 model years of the Chevrolet SS Sedan and the Chevrolet Caprice Police Patrol vehicle. It's a campaign that was put in place to try to rectify how the tape that wraps around that wiring harness might unravel and get caught up in the drive axles. So let's check it out. Hopefully you've already had this campaign performed on your vehicle and it's not an issue any longer, but just in case you haven't had it done or you bought your vehicle used, you can at least go look underneath the vehicle and see what it is and see whether it's been performed on your vehicle. So stick around up to the intro and we'll check it out. Please review the automotive information, repair, and modification guidelines on this screen. Seek the advice of a repair professional if you're unsure how to perform any repair or modification safely and correctly. All repairs and modifications are performed at your own risk. I'd like to make sure that you understand that this is not a recall campaign. It is a customer satisfaction campaign, which means it is not something that you can go in and demand to have fixed or anything. Just because a document's been issued by General Motors does not mean it's a recall. The term recall is used way too liberally when it comes to any document issued by any car manufacturer. In this particular case, it is an important issue that you get addressed, but it did not rise to the level of being a recall for the vehicle. It was a customer satisfaction campaign, and those usually have some sort of begin and end dates. The end date for this particular program was May 31st, 2018. This video is being recorded in July 2018, so that means it's over with. But if your new car warranty is still in place, active, and you have a dealership that's willing to work with you, you might just go ahead and fix it for you. It's up to you to discuss that with your service writer and see what they're willing to do for you. But I wanted to give you the information just in case you bought your vehicle used, you may be the second or third owner, you don't know if it's been performed or not. You should be able to ask your Chevrolet dealership to pull a repair history for your vehicle to see if the campaign's been performed, and if so, great. But I also wanted to give you the information, which is fairly straightforward, to go check for the solution to the whole thing, which ends up being zip ties. The zip ties that they identify, you need 20 of them. There's a particular part number from GM. The documentation for this customer satisfaction campaign actually shows pictures with white zip ties, but the ones you actually get from GM are black. So originally I had installed zip ties on my 15 SS Sedan because I was going on a trip, and I wanted to make sure this didn't happen. And the reason I did that is I actually had this problem occur. The tape became unraveled from the wiring harness on the right rear side that goes to the wheel speed sensor. It unraveled enough to get wrapped around the drive shaft and then yanked out the whole wiring harness on the right side. So as I drove home one day from the movies with my daughter, all of a sudden I get a service brake system warning in my driver information center, and then the ABS light was illuminated in the instrument panel. And I pulled the code from it, and it told me the right rear wheel speed sensor was no longer working, or there was no signal from it. So ended up, it just yanked the whole harness out. They had to get a new pigtail for that to put that into the wiring harness and solder it in and get it all connected again. But then after that is when this customer satisfaction campaign came out, and I thought, well, let's get this taken care of. And sure enough, I found tape from the magnetic ride control wiring harnesses that were beginning to drip down towards the drive shaft. It was definitely a problem on my vehicle, and I ended up putting, like I said, I put my own zip ties on it first, and then when I got the part number, it took a while to get them from GM, a couple of weeks actually. I then replaced those zip ties just to make sure I didn't have any warranty issues. And I replaced all of them with the ones that GM identified, and then I took it into the Chevrolet dealership to have the shop foreman review my work, and he reviewed it and said yes, I had done just fine with it. Then he cleared the customer satisfaction campaign off, or showed it as completed because the work had been done. So I want to make sure you have this information available to you. Like I said, the campaign is already over with as of May 31st, 2018, but the solution is fairly simple. Assuming you have no damage to your existing wiring harness on your rear axle, you can go ahead and perform this yourself. That's up to you. If you need to take it in to get it performed, that's fine, but it might be a chargeable service visit at this point in time since the campaign is over with. So we'll get up underneath the rear of my 17 SS Sedan. You'll see there's no zip ties there, but you at least see the wiring harness stuff that I'm talking about. And I'll include a couple pictures of the zip ties that I ended up buying from GM and also one of the pictures from the service bulletin that's been issued for this to show how they're talking about various locations being use of zip ties around them. Their pictures include a white zip tie. Unfortunately, that's not what you get from GM. But let's go ahead and take a look underneath the car and see what it's like. So here we are on the driver's side rear of the vehicle, and I'm going to show you one of the areas that the bulletin talks about. It applies to both sides. It's not just this side, but the ride height sensor for the magnetic ride control, which is positioned right over here. There's a harness connector that goes to it on the top here, or at least there's a harness that passes by, and then there's an actual connector that goes up to the magnetic ride control shock. This tape on mine was unraveling down to the point where it was hanging down, and in the right wind conditions could potentially get wrapped around the drive axle, which is up here. So here's another view of another section of the rear axle wiring harness. This shows the wheel speed sensor going out to the driver's side at the top of the picture here. And I'll get my fingers up here, show you that. So there is tape around the wiring harness going up to that, and that unravels and then got caught up in the drive shaft right behind it. So that's the issue that happened on my 15 SS Sedan, but on the passenger side. So the wiring harness was repaired, a new pigtail was soldered in, and everything was working. But then when the customer satisfaction program was released, I went and checked the wiring harness, and sure enough, I found a couple different places where the tape was unraveling, especially around the magnetic ride control connectors. So this is the kind of solution that you need to make sure is in place in your vehicle to assure that you don't have tape unraveling and getting wrapped up in your drive shafts. So with that information, you can hopefully go inspect it. You should see zip ties in various locations on this harness, not zip ties that connected to the mounting points, but zip ties just on the tape portion alone to make sure the tape stays in place. So I hope the footage from underneath the vehicle at least identifies a portion of where the rear axle harness exists on the vehicle. It exists on the full width of the rear axle area. Over the differential, there's a section that runs over the very top of that. Of course, it's connected to the body, but the portions that are adjacent to the drive shafts are the most susceptible to the tape unraveling and getting caught up in there, of course. And in my case, I had the wheel speed sensor on the rear passenger side unravel enough to get yanked, or to wrap around the drive shaft to yank out the wiring harness section on that side. So I would suggest, if you don't know the history of the vehicle, or if you know that it's been done, just go ahead and take a look underneath your vehicle and make sure that there's no additional tape unraveling on either side, to make sure that you don't have an incident like I did where the passenger side harness got ripped out while driving home. So check it out. I just want to make sure you have the information available to you. Virtually every vehicle should have had this performed already for a 14 and 15 model year. But the only difference between those two particular model years is the fact that magnetic ride control shocks are present in the 15. So there's going to be additional wiring harness connectors for those. But take a look at what you have on your vehicle. If there's no zip ties on the tape around the wiring harness, pretty good indication this hasn't been done. Check with your dealership, get the repair history, see what's been done or not been done. And if you wish to tackle it yourself, get the appropriate zip ties. I'll give you the part number in the description section or in the video here, and then you can obtain those or source your own. It's up to you, but GM gave a very specific one, I imagine, to resist the weather elements here in North America. The pictures, again, were showing white zip ties. The ones that actually come from GM per the part number in the customer satisfaction campaign bulletin are black. So that's one difference. I'm not sure why the difference, if the picture was taken for the Australian version of the vehicle or not. But keep that in mind, and hopefully this has been helpful to you and keeps your SS Sedan and Caprice PPV on the road. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time and you want to, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Please follow Retro Car Guy 530 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for taking the time to visit the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.